Hey, so this video is going to be different. Like it kind of says in the title, the painting and how I paint the painting itself will be different, but I'm always trying to find new ways to film videos. How many different ways can you film a painting? But so this video that I've never done before is going to be very slow. It's going to be real-time mixing paint, real-time paint strokes, and it's going to be like a raw video, not a lot of editing, not a lot of music, and not a lot of time lapses, because I don't think time lapses, sometimes you could see what's going on that much. It's a nice display of the process, but you can't really see like the nitty-gritty paint strokes and all the stuff. So it's going to be a long video, I think. It's going to have all that, and we're going to switch it up, and we're going to see how it goes. So let's talk about this painting, my vision, and the synopsis of what's going to go down, and then we'll just immediately start to paint. So what I got going on here is a loose leaf piece of linen canvas, and I bought this hardboard from Home Depot. It's pretty cheap, but it's very flat, and so I cut it to size to use as like the backboard for painting. You could use anything that's flat. This is just what I did. Super easy. I taped off parts of the canvas so we'll have that nice kind of border edge. I kind of like that, especially because this isn't a wrapped canvas. That's the setup we got going on, and I'll kind of bring you in. You can't see the underdrawing of what I'm doing, but this is a family portrait. It's a super epic scene. It's really beautiful. I don't really want to show the original image, but you'll see in the painting, and it's just awesome. It's a gift for a family friend. I really love the composition. I changed it around a little, and what is gonna go down in this painting is something I've never done before. The title of the video, it's gonna be a very impressionistic style. It's not gonna be realistic. I mean, the colors will be realistic, there'll be depth, but it's not gonna be naturalism. It's not gonna be realism. It's gonna be impressionistic, very simple forms, especially with the figures and kind of the four-wheeler they're sitting in and the trees and leaves. I don't really know yet, but impressionism, surreal kind of floaty, kind of ethereal vibe is what I'm going for. I'm really amped. I think it's going to be super fun. It's quite a large painting for oil. I'm going to use a bunch of oil paint, but that is the absolute plan. And we're going to lay out some colors real quick and get started. And this is going to be, I think it's like 9 minutes of just these paint strokes for the whole painting, so we got a lot of time to talk. I have a lot to say about this painting, and let me first start off by saying that I struggle a lot in this painting, but it's good. Every oil paintings are crazy for me. A lot of the times I prepare, and especially portraits and stuff, I feel very organized, especially mixing flesh tones. Landscapes and kind of more larger compositions I'm very kind of new to. I've only done a couple of these sort of quote unquote bigger paintings in my life, so they're a lot more challenging for me, and there's a lot more going on, and especially this, like I said, I'm trying this completely different style, which I don't really kind of approach till the end. Right now I'm really just, and for a lot of paintings, my general strategy is just to cover the entire painting with oil paint. So I'm kind of just coloring in the lines right now, getting basic values and colors, but my main goal is kind of to fill the whole oil painting with oil paint, and then I kind of let it dry. I knew going into this it was going to be a multi-layer sort of thing. You'll see I get kind of weird towards the end, but this painting was super challenging because I had this vision, like I said in the beginning, again, of this kind of very impressionistic, very energetic kind of expressive painting. I didn't want it to be super realistic, like just like like a photoreal portrait of a dog, or a realistic portrait of human. I mean, it's going to be natural colors like you're seeing, but I wanted it to be expressive and loose and very painterly, and so I really don't do that till the end, and I get really I just struggle a lot, but we'll talk about it as the painting goes on. So I wanted to say that, and the photo reference I had for this painting was not super high quality. I mean, it was a beautiful picture, and I got enough detail out, but it was a little overexposed, which loses a lot of detail. So I was kind of making up a lot of the lighting design. I changed a little, like the direction of the sunlight, and then, with all these branches and stuff like that. So this is the palette kind of going into the humans and the little four-wheeler cart. So I'm still doing the same thing. I'm just putting in the first layer of value and color, so I can just kind of get that down. That's the first stage blocking. But I'm being timid, and like that's what I struggle with, and this is kind of just like coloring, like a coloring book kind of, and you still have to mix colors, and that's still, you have to, match, and so that's where kind of you think about the paint, and it's time consuming, but it's not super challenging right here. What is challenging for me is to get the style and the feel of the painting. That's what I was going for throughout the whole thing. I wasn't worried about super correct proportions or making the faces look exactly like them. I wanted it to be a stylistic painting and to have it be kind of, exciting. So I'm doing little washes here. The paint has dried. We passed the stage of filling the paint, and I made the background a little bluer, and I made the grass a little yellower, and we're filling in more details and just making a couple of those trees in the distance darker, because there's actually a lot of shade back there. And like now is where I'm like, okay, how do I stylize this painting? I got the first layer down. I'm trying to do these paint strokes. Really didn't like these kind of, polka dotty leaves. And I'm really just fumbling around. I didn't have a plan at this point. I knew what I had in my head, but I didn't know kind of how to execute it, if you know what I mean. So I'm very just in the moment trying to figure it out. And I was kind of getting frustrated because it wasn't going towards where I wanted it to. I was getting too caught up in details and little things. And a strategy actually that helped me, and I do it, every painting you should do it, is really stepping back. You get so close, physically stepping back, you get so close to the painting, like a foot or less away, especially trying to put in little leaves, and you get so caught up in what you see inches in front of you when really, you're going to be viewing this painting from 5 to 10 to even more feet away. So I was stepping back a lot, and that helps me kind of see what I need to change, or the values, or big shapes. And here I'm trying to get a little loose with the grass, but still I was really frustrated with how it was going. So just moving different parts. And I kind of think of this painting in 3 stages: sort of the background, the trees, which is a big part, more than half the painting. There's the foreground, which is the grass, and then obviously kind of the subject, the humans in the cart. So those are the 3 kind of zones. And at this point, I was really not super happy with the foreground and background. I knew the figures I could make cool and stylistic, and I had a plan, but the background, I wanted the forest in the background to be really chaotic and alive, and I wanted to make it far away, because then the yard would look bigger, and it was a vast yard, and so you couldn't put a lot of detail in the background, so I was going back and forth between that. I just did a little wash of a yellowish green to make the forest a little greener. If you saw that, the paint has to be dry for that. But, so I'm still just fumbling around. And finally, at this point, I get a bigger brush, you can see, and start really just, I stopped being timid, which was my biggest problem. I was being too timid. I was just afraid to put a lot of paint down and get really crazy and energetic. And so finally, I just, started doing these big strokes, and it looks kind of like a mush, but I really like this style, and it really represents the forest, I think, and the trees in not a super realistic way, but it represents the trees, especially when you move back from the painting in real life. This painting looks way different than on camera, and you can see all the strokes and the goodness. And so I started doing that to the foreground, and again, I really liked how this turned out, and it's just more energetic. There's more, it seems like more motion, and it's just the big painterly strokes is what I was really looking for from the beginning. I was just too scared to do it, and I've never really done paintings like this, so I was scared. You're always scared you're going to ruin stuff, and you've gone this far. And so similar with the humans right here, and kind of painting the light in. These are smaller strokes, obviously, because it's a smaller little part of the painting, but they're still kind of not super clean, but not dirty. It's kind of just like expressive big paint strokes is kind of how I'm describing it. And we're definitely getting to the end here. And so it took like those last steps to really kind of bring this painting together, I think. And I was frustrated for a lot of it. It was so fun. Being frustrated is kind of like a good thing, because it's just a bunch of problem solving. But this painting, especially as an experiment, it was it certainly gave me the rounds, all the emotions. And so we're pulling the tape back. And this is why I love the frame, because I think the frame really frames it. That's how, I don't know how else to explain it. And in person, it looks great. I'm really excited with kind of the energy and the expressiveness of it. So there she is. We're finished, finally. This was quite the long painting. Honestly, a lot of paint went into this. I don't know how the voiceover is gonna be. I'm sure I ranted a lot. What I do is I usually edit the whole video so I can have it and then play it back, and then I do the voiceover. So I haven't done it yet, but I'm sure I rant. Hopefully I talked a lot. I have a lot to say about this painting, the different style, and kind of the struggles I had with then pulling it around, the brush strokes. I'm super happy with it. It's a very painterly painting in my eyes, and from all the paintings I've done, this is, I think, the most painterly painting. So I'm pretty happy with it. I just think the composition is beautiful. Not just the happy family, but just the scene. It's very cool, I thought. That's what really, dragged me in to paint this, and that's all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed the slower process paint strokes. Let me know if you like that, and we can do that more. I can mix in the time lapse and the real-time strokes. I think it was cool, and that's all I got. Stay tuned for some craziness. Got more videos coming every week. See you in the next video.